Oh no, I'm mentioning something controversial.
I hate my life.
Just saying. Oh yeah, end this.
Wake me up. Wake me up inside.
You hate text-to-speech bots? Don't worry, I do too. I mean, let's face it. Here on YouTube, you could literally just have your goldfish commentate, and yeah, you'd still get views. I should create that channel later, but who cares? Anyways, you clicked on the video, you know what it's about. Franco-British Union, guys! Woo! Okay. So, alright. What would happen if in the Franco-British Union, if that existed? I know I'm stealing this idea from, I can't say his name exactly, Monsieur Z or something? I don't know. I stole the idea from him, but I'm hopefully going to, I'm going to give him credit for the idea, but although it's not really an out of the line idea in the alternate history community, so my plan is basically to just get my own spin on it. So yeah, just saying, because no, this idea is not entirely original, but I think it'd be a good twist on it in the end. Okay, so I'll just give you some context. Not much, I promise. I'm just setting the stage. So it's an alternate 1945. World War II has just ended, and eventually France and Britain signed a contract and be like, hey, we're together now. Yay. On the plus side for the British people, their combined Franco-British Union is now the biggest I want to say empire in the world. But just to spoil it for you, Britain, just because you've doubled your empire size doesn't mean you can have the stability of your old empire. Yeah. Why do I say this? Here's why. I can imagine the French people after watching their men die in a battle in wars to get their country back. I'm sure that they wouldn't exactly be too keen on the British taking over all their territory. Yeah, that lead to problems. So eventually, 2 years later, it's 1947, and decolonization has just begun. India has gained their independence, and now France wants to be independent because guess what? They fought a war to be on their own. They deserve to be a sovereign state in the end. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the British, after just giving up India, would probably be like, we just give up India. So no, absolutely not. British would be like, YOLO, I'm going to war.
Dead memes are funny, right? Right.
They're funny people. Wake up. So basically, what would happen to France? Well, in 1947, they'd go to war. I should use a fair joke for war, you know. So doing a dead meme that wasn't even trendy 3 years ago. It was me for you. So it's 1947, and France is revolting. So as you can imagine, it's the Cold War, right? Cold War happens. So Russia starts sending aid to France. Yep. They start sending aid through Albania into Toulouse, or whatever. Yeah. The French were able to get that, by the way, allowing Russian supplies to get in. So with Russian supplies coming in, yeah, they wouldn't last longer. They, of course, took Paris. Revolutionary forces take Paris, and France is restored back to normal. Now, the thing is, this wouldn't be a problem just in the UK. This would be a problem in the world. Or more like the Western world, but whatever. So, you know the domino effects, right? Dominoes, they're fun, aren't they? So basically, you have to realize this, all right? France falls to Russian influence, pretty much. They're not communists, they just follow Russian influence. In the same way that a country like Egypt or Iraq, who were technically under Russian influence as well, they weren't communist. France would be the same. So that'd be one part of the domino effect. The second, China. China still wins the Civil War, by the way, because I don't see them not winning the Civil War past 1934. So there's that. The third, well, here's kind of the thing, right? I'm going to put this out right now. France falls to Russian influence, which would probably be blamed on Truman for not doing anything about it. The second, China. If China fell to communism, and just like in real life, that was a major blow to Truman, okay? Imagine if France fell before that. That would be a major embarrassment. And that would spark a whole new Red Scare. America would not want to lose the next conflict. I think you might know where I'm going with this. Korea. It's Korea. Now, of course, this is highly unlikely, but just stick with me on this. There would be a desperate urge for revenge against the Soviets and the Chinese. So, when the inevitable invasion happens of Korea, America marches in and takes over North Korea. That's what happens. All of us, they just march in. They march in. They take the entirety of North Korea. Kim Il-sung is exiled, is executed, or goes into hiding, and is probably executed later. Yeah. I know it's pretty unlikely considering China probably would have gotten involved, but for the sake of the scenario, we'll say China doesn't get involved. Simple as that. If anything, I'm pretty sure that something like Vietnam wouldn't be a conflict at all, as a matter of fact. I mean, Vietnam probably wouldn't even be a conflict, as a matter of fact. I'd imagine that the French probably would have beaten them if a conflict ever broke out. Because, well, Soviets now have a powerful friend on their side. And I don't think they would want to lose that friendship by supporting a bunch of tribal, by supporting by literal people who dress up as trees. I don't think they would. I don't think they would try to lose their allies like that. So yeah, Vietnam would have probably would have ended with the French winning. So yeah, the French win Vietnam, or it's possible they get their independence like 20 years later. I don't know. We have a lot to cover. So I would imagine that Korea would be democratic, as would Vietnam. So yeah. Now obviously the Cold War still ends in a way. The U.S. still beats the Soviet Union. America, yeah, America wins. There you go. Yeah. So America wins, and what happens to France? France would obviously stay tied to the Soviets because I'm pretty sure the Americans or British wouldn't like it if they teamed up again. I can imagine that they would be closely aligned to the Soviets until they collapsed. The Soviets collapsed. So, of course, with the Soviets collapsing, they don't really have an enemy to latch onto anymore. So I can imagine that France would be like, hey, say to America and Britain, hey, we were mad like 50 years ago, right? Yeah. We're over it, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Can we be friends again? Sure. Why not? I don't care. So indeed, France in the end goes back to NATO, and yeah, the whole French thing is over. They're back to being democratic or some crap. I don't know. I'd imagine with all the protests in the Eastern Bloc, France probably would have been the same, and I'm assuming they wouldn't be communists, so they'd be like a parliamentary monarchy, kind of like Britain is today. Anywho, I forgot to do the intro where I said my name, so I'm JFK. I'll see you next time. Bye.